point. But then in the fourth quarter, Kawhi scored 11 of his 35 points. Wiley vet Patrick Beverley also forced a key LeBron turnover to seal the game. Lakers have now dropped 4 in a row. Anthony Davis said after the contest, quote, "We gave that one away." We are now joined by Yahoo Sports senior NBA insider Chris Haynes, who was at the game last night.
He was, and I'll bet he got more sleep than Shannon Sharp got last night.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
Chris, what did last night show you between these two teams?
Well, I think it showed me and everyone else is that the Clippers are who we thought they were. You know, this is a real, legitimate, dominant team. And their standings is not going to reflect how truly great they are because they're going to be sitting guys periodically pertaining
Not guys, guy.
Well, Paul George is going to get his share of reps as well. You know, so, but yeah, that's your point. But they're a good team. You look, this is how they assembled the team. They wanted versatility. They wanted long, lengthy guys who can switch everything and who can battle the likes of a LeBron James or Anthony Davis. They have that. They don't have guys that can stop them, but they have guys who can bother them. And then you add a pesky Pat Beverley into the mix, who had a key defensive stop down there down the stretch. It was really a good game. I will say this: LeBron James, obviously that growing, that's something that got re-aggravated with the collision with Beverley. So he wasn't fully himself. I don't want to make too big of a deal out of a Christmas Day game, but I will say this: I've always said this. I think that barring injuries, anything catastrophic, that the LA team is going to represent the Western Conference when it's all said and done. I think these two teams are the cream of the crop.
I think the Lakers let them off the hook. We know, look, the Clippers are good. They're well coached. Doc is a great not only a great X and O guy, he's a great motivator. And sometimes that's what you need. I mean, these grown men, like, you need motivate. Yeah, some guys can self-motivate themselves. Skip, you talk about it all the time. We talk about it in football, that Jason Garrett is not a motivator. Some guys can motivate themselves. Some guys don't need a coach to give me no pep talk, don't show me no video. I get paid to do a job, I'm gonna go do my job. And other guys, you got to kick them in the butt, you got to yell, you got to scream, you got to show them some footage. But the Lakers let them off the hook, up 12, up 15, 5 minutes into the third quarter, and then all of a sudden, they started fouling. The Clippers shot 13 free throws in the third quarter. Not only when you foul, Skip, time doesn't run off the clock. You're letting them creep back into the ball game with no time running off the clock. And 45 threes? When did the Lakers turn into the Rockets? That's not their game. Anthony Davis has a mismatch on most nights. He has a decided mismatch against the Clippers because the only guy that's big enough is Zubac, but he doesn't have the foot speed to stay with him. All the other guys that have the speed, the Kawhis, the Paul George, the Trez Harrells, they're too small. So that's got to be where we dominate. Anthony Davis, when he plays the Clippers, he's going to need to be somewhere 30, 35 with 15 rebounds. He's going to have to be that dominant. Because, look, I would like to see LeBron get into it back and forth like he used to do with Paul George when Paul was in Indy. They would go back and forth. Or when he and Paul Pierce was going at it in Boston, when he was in Cleveland. But he's at year 17, he's like, nah, I'm not getting caught up in that duel. He's going to drive, kick. If it's there, he'll take it. And yesterday, what you saw yesterday, they were going up under everything. It's like, we're not fighting over the top and have you go by us and lay the ball up. We dare you to make it. We're going to give it to you. We dare you to make those threes. The three ball looked good. I bet it felt good coming off his hand. He just missed it. But that day coming. Do it again. We already got due on it. They're going to play 2 more times, and the Lakers not losing to the Clippers in the regular season, and we're not losing to them in the playoffs. Factual.
By the way, I thought Paul George did a really good job on Anthony Davis, who does not want to live in the paint because, remember, he's a finesse shooter. He shoots threes and jumps.
Ain't gonna bother him.
Right?
Ain't gonna bother him.
I thought Paul George got up into him in the second half really well, and I did not think Anthony Davis took over that game or game 1 at Staples Center when it was the Clippers' home game, right? And I saw last night, Anthony Davis total 6 rebounds in that game. That wasn't domination, was it? Did he own the paint?
I just told you he needed to do that.
Yeah. He doesn't see himself as a 5. He's kind of a 3-4, somewhere between small forward and power forward, right?
He's 34.
Interesting. Yeah, he's a 34. Now, my turn. Back to Chris Haynes' contention that LeBron re-aggravated his groin. I'm going to say this again. LeBron is the master of excuse making. He sends too many media apologists, I'm not throwing you that into that group, out into the night propagating another excuse that he lost because he was hurt. Baloney!
Ain't nobody saying that.
Baloney! Yes, they are. It's all over everywhere. You can attest to that. It's everywhere. And here is the point. Anybody who knows anything about groin injuries knows you cannot pull your groin or re-aggravate or re-injure your groin when you're standing still. He was trying to take a charge that he actually took, and he deserved to get that call.
Right.
You're standing still. Your groin is what they call static. It is not moving.
So what happened when you fall? Are you moving?
When you fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But you get kneed in the thigh. So if you got a thigh bruise, I got it.
Skip, you saw the man put his knee right in his groin area.
And speaking of thigh bruises, Kawhi missed 73 games with a thigh bruise. So maybe it's one of those kind of thigh bruises. LeBron's going to be out for 73 more games. I don't know.
Skip, I was sitting here to tell the truth. I wasn't sitting here by LeBron James.
I got it. I'm not accusing you of that.
You accuse me of it, though.
But the point is, he didn't pull his groin. It didn't get stretched. You stretch your groin going side to side or explosively going forward, and you're like, ow! And once it goes, and you're going to limp some. They said he limped out of the locker room last night. Well, it wasn't because he pulled his groin. Well, maybe he had a thigh contusion. I'll even give you a contusion. But it wasn't a groin injury. So what happened in the biggest picture was your team is up 15 points 5 minutes into the second half. It is your home game. That was, I think you're going to test, it was a Lakers crowd last night.
No doubt.
And by the way, Patrick Beverley, at the end of the game, he shut them up, and he told them so, right? In no uncertain terms, in words we cannot utter here on this show, right? He did a whole ring around the whole arena, telling them what he thought of all of them.
I like Pat Bev, but I can't stand it.
I know, now you can't. The point was that the Clippers showed you they are the mentally and physically tougher basketball team when it matters, because they just tracked you down and ground you down for the rest of the game from 15 down. And Kawhi Leonard, once again, for the second statement game at Staples against the Lakers. And the Lakers are really good, to your point. You know, it's 1-2, 2-1, except both those statement games, Kawhi Leonard dominated the game on both ends of the floor and showed once again he was the best player on the floor that featured LeBron and AD and even Paul George. I didn't think Paul was very good on offense last night, but he came to play on the other end. This team prides itself. Its signature is on the defensive end, and it starts with little Pat Bev at about 6'1". And he's up into everybody, disrupting and nagging and irritating. He irritated LeBron's groin without even doing anything to it, right?
It did. I mean, look, but there's no excuse for this. You got two of the top 5 players, whether you think AD is 5'4", I think LeBron is number 1. But you got two of the top players in the NBA. And you're up 15 in your building, I don't care who they got on the other side. You got to bring that home.
Got to bring it.
You got to bring it home. It's as simple as that.
Okay, and I thought, I've told you from the start, Kyle Kuzma is their closer, and he went crazy in the first quarter, but he was their opener. He wasn't their closer.
Yeah.
He outscored Kawhi's onslaught. Kawhi goes 14 in the first quarter, and Kuzma went 15, and they led by 2 at the first quarter break.
Yeah, 19 at the half.
Okay, and then in the fourth quarter, he took 2 shots and made none. It's probably A, not enough shots, and B, you're going to sink or swim with him. It's do or die with Kuzma.
Yes, it is.
Because LeBron went for him crazy hot in the first part of the fourth quarter, and he made 2 threes and 2 jumpers, 2 two-point jumpers, which was great.
Last jumper put him up 7.
And then Doc said to number 2, he said, take him. And all of a sudden, Kawhi's on him, and it started getting quiet for LeBron.
But the thing was, Chris, you were there. And you saw what they were doing. They were going up under the pick. Yeah. They said, we're not going to fight over the top of it. And the 3, Skip, there were no forced threes. They were wide open. He's going to have to make those. Yeah. Because
so LeBron ended up missing the most threes of his career. 10 threes he missed.
And I don't know if he's ever, he might have taken that, when he played Charlotte, when he had that 62-point night, Skip, and he made like 8. I think he attempted 13 or 14 then. He went crazy hot.
But that's also a sign with the amount of threes that he took. that he wasn't physically there. He didn't feel comfortable enough to impose his will physically.
Yeah.
And Skip Bayless,
You know why?
Since when were you able to jump in another man's body and be able to tell how physically hurt they are? What is going on through them? He just diagnosed LeBron.
I know
already.
groin injuries. You can't pull your groin while you're standing still.
Hold on, nobody said he pulled it. They say he aggravated it.
Aggravated it how?
Because the man kneed him in it and he failed.
Okay, but kneeing is just a bruise. It's not going to pull. I've never heard of a bruised groin in my life. I don't think you can bruise your groin.
How about this,
you can bruise your quad.
It hurts.
Okay, how about this, Skip? If you have an aggravated hamstring, quad, groin, the last thing you want to do is be doing sudden movements. In basketball, are you doing sudden movements in basketball?
Did you see him limp at all in the game?
I didn't see the explosion. Chris, now you watched this man over this year. There have been, and you said him playing like this in year 17, I did not expect this. LeBron gets an explosive play or a couple of plays a game. Yesterday, I did not see that explosive LeBron that I've seen in the previous month.
You know why? Because he had two long, strong defenders all up in him the whole game. They will not let him get to the paint. He got to the paint one time in the second